I've been thinking about Banjo Tooie again because there is a strange coincidence, I guess you could call it, where I discovered that the word Cloud Cuckoo Land, as far as I can tell, comes from a Greek tragedy. I apologize, apparently it's a comedy, of course. And in this comedy, the word Cloud Cuckoo Land appears. It's the name of a utopian city in the sky, I think. I haven't read the play, I'm sorry. So I suppose the reason this warrants making a video or seems interesting to me is because of the character Mary, Canary Mary. Yeah. Canary Mary is... This is a subjective sort of impression, but I get the feeling that Canary Mary is designed to look like a human being. Like a human being who is wearing a bird suit. This might actually be mentioned in-game now that I remember. She might actually refer to herself as a bird suit wearing human, and that might be part of the joke about why she's been left down in the mines. Anyway, obviously, we'd better not speculate about that without knowing. But she looks like a bird, right? She's dressed like a bird. And, other characters in the Banjo games who are animals, I think are designed a lot more like an animal and less like a human being. Like, she obviously has like sleeves that she's wearing. Of course, Donkey Kong and so on. In other Rareware games, we also have this phenomenon. I think Banjo himself has these fur sleeves that make it look as if you're wearing clothes. But I personally just think this is a bit more extreme and more obviously made to look like a disguise. Now, because of this, I thought it was interesting because she is a human being dressed as a bird, which is what an actor would do if they were performing a play, so to speak. Judging from YouTube performances of the play, it is a play that involves actors dressing up as birds, and reading the Wikipedia, it even seems that the plot itself involves human beings transforming into birds, or at least kind of half-acidly transforming into birds. And also birds, I think, according to Wikipedia, transforming back into humans. So there's an interesting sort of parallel there, which I imagine, since it might be playing... It's kind of rough to talk about a play without reading it, but I imagine that there are themes of utopianism and kind of castle in the sky kind of ideas, attaining to an ideal, maybe. And so it's interesting because some of these themes bleed in interestingly to Banjo-Kazooie. Of course, Banjo himself is kind of like a half bird because he wears a bird on his shoulders in his backpack as if he were dressed with fake wings to pretend that he's a bird. He can do things a bird can. He can fly because of Kazooie in the backpack, right? So he is also kind of like a half bird creature. He's not entirely a ground-based mammal. And of course, Kazooie is sort of half mammal because she has Banjo's sort of ground-based body to live in a way. So there are, I think, themes of sky and earth meeting in this way. So a further thing that interested me about this is that the play seems to be one of the earliest iterations of the concept of squaring the circle, which then became a huge deal, I think, in, Europe or the world. I'm not entirely sure, but the whole concept of the mathematical question of can you square the circle? According to Wikipedia, again, it seems that the birds is one of the first known references to this idea. Probably, again, as a reference to its utopian kind of seemingly impossible nature. You know, how could a square and a circle be equated in this way? How could you possibly square the circle? How could you possibly make these two things fit neatly into one another? So interesting in light of all this utopian ideal versus material discussion, but also interesting because squares and circles are kind of, I think, big shapes in Banjo Tooie, at least. As I said, the Greek kind of world of, as I said in previous videos, I mean, the Greek world of Atlantis is all square buildings. The Roman world of the kind of Colosseum is all round architecture. I feel that the union between round shapes and square shapes is also sort of present in this game. And maybe my ability to sort of shape this Greek play into Banjo Tooie and shift its position so that it fits is also me trying to square the circle in a way. So I guess I'll leave it at that. I don't know, whatever you think of it. Thanks.